I want to go back to the late 80s when leadership at the organization I was at did an assessment of all its leaders and future leaders. They used the Myers Briggs assessment. I have the results in front of me, and I want to go over those because I really haven't changed that much. And what's really unique is I used the same behavior, leadership skills, and so on raising my 3 children when they were very young. My oldest son was only probably, let me see here, he was only about 12, maybe 15 at the most. That's when I really got into psychology and leadership skills and assessments. I wanted the independence of a professional versus me trying to figure out my kids and their futures and trying to control their talent skills, which I didn't want to do because I'm one of 11 kids, and my father especially had high expectations of what we should do and so on, not knowing that I could make my own decisions and my own choices. And that's what I mean by picking the right horse. In other words, you can't pick your family, but you could pick your employer, you could pick your wife, you could, whatever, your relationships. It's taken me many, many years to realize that I could walk away from a bad, toxic situation, a bad boss, a bad employer, a bad client, but you never walk away from your kids, okay, and your family. You might have to adjust, but you got to have principles and values and so on. So I want to get back to how I scored at that time. The Myers Briggs, you could actually go online and get that and download it. It's free. It's a free assessment, and it's just being open and honest about yourself on what your game plan is. Because the more honest you are, the better the results, or let's just say the assessment comes back to you. I'm a ENTJ. ENTJ. Extroverted is the E. The title of ENTJ is the Field Marshal. Now, back in 1987, when this report I pulled out of 1987, there's a quadrant of the leaders and what type of quadrant they're in and so on. I was all alone. I was all alone as a ENTJ, and I didn't feel lonely, but I knew I was the president of the company at the time, so, I wanted the responsibility and the decision-making process. Here's what it reads out. The field marshal is able in studies, leads activities, usually good in anything that requires reasoning and intelligent talk, such as public speaking, are usually well informed and enjoy adding to their fund, F-U-N-D, of knowledge, may sometimes be more positive and confident than their experience in an area warrants. Let me reread that. May sometimes be more positive and confident than their experience in an area warrants. All right. The first item is best described as. So in this assessment, this person is hearty, frank, commanding, goal-oriented, in charge, logical, analytical, and decisive. Those are the best described. And I'm going to agree with that. But there's also a negative aspect of that, too. If you're perceived as hearty, frank, commanding, and so on. Maybe even threatening. can be outstanding at. In other words, here's the pros of the field marshal. Taking over groups, harnessing people to distant goals like a vision, communicating, visualizing where an organization is going, communicating that vision to others, organizing units into smooth functioning systems, planning for short-term and long-range objectives. That's me all the way. And I've been in business for 50 years. So I'm agreeing with this. Probably more goal-orientated to the point where you meet your goals, you achieve your goals, and in my world, you surpass your goals. Now, what do I enjoy? Conduct governed by logic, the broad picture, complex problems to solve, new ideas, well thought out plans, well engineered operations. That's why I'm a business guy. I love business, I love teams, and I think a lot of that has to do with my upbringing in sports and goals of winning in sports. Now we're going to talk about what am I impatient with, or people such as the field marshal. Impatient with inefficiency, repetition of error, confusion, half measures such as half-assed, decisions based on feelings. I got to see the facts. And I've learned over the years, actually, it takes both. And I will talk about that in a little bit. The potential pitfalls of a leader such as myself and others, field marshals. Intent on making decisions, can overlook relevant facts and important details. Naturally critical, may fail to develop an appreciation for others. That's true too. What am I saying? I'm saying I can see this, and I've paid the price, the pros and the cons. I'll tell you this, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of who I am. I'm much happier working as a team and working with high performers. I'd have to say that. I like people that are driven, ambitious, work well with a team, like to win. I'm impatient with complacency, laziness. I have high expectations, and I'm realizing after all this time, you really find out over time, colors show. Who's who, who's there. You know, there's a term that we used to use back in the day, and they might use it today, is, and this is why you see the hiring practices of today is hire slowly, fire quickly. I have an example. I'm talking to a client right now that hired someone. They didn't do their due diligence. This is a founder, an entrepreneur of a very large company. They're in their 70s, and they wanted to bring an outside professional to be the president and run the business. He didn't do his homework. After 9 months, he realized he justified letting this guy go. You're talking about, high six figures running a business. Now, the reputation's going to get out there right away by this ex-employee. And I deal with a lot of people that have been laid off, especially white-collar professionals that are looking for a new future. Situations like this, laying this guy off after 9 months and maybe spending a year, you know how many years you lose in being critical and cynical about a bad hire? That's what I mean by make sure you pick the right horse. It's devastating, man. And it sets the company back, and you don't trust anybody. It's like going through a divorce or a betrayal of a spouse. I mean, it's terrible. It could take years. Some people never come back from something like that. So I just want to talk about Myers Briggs, how useful it was for me back in the day. Go online, Myers Briggs. Myers is spelled M-Y-E-R-S, Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S. You're going to learn something. Have your kids do it. See what happens. It's pretty awesome. So that's my my story, and I'm proud of it. And as you can see, that's why I'm talking about it, is because, hey, this is good to know, because everybody's got some issues. So God bless. This is Rock. Always bring joy. We'll talk to you again.